Here is the tale of the tape.
Ullysee is the younger man at 31 by 5 years. Barroso is an inch and a half taller, but Ullysee has the reach advantage.
Ullysee Jr. facing his first southpaw opponent of his pro career. All right, it's time for the official announcements. Once again, here's Jeremiah.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the hangar here at the OC Costa Mesa, California, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the main event of the evening. 12 rounds for the WBA Gold Super Lightweight Championship. This is Golden Boy DAZN Thursday Night Fights, broadcasting live on DAZN and our Golden Boy DAZN television affiliates across the United States. Presented to you by Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions in association with Eye of the Tiger Management. Tonight's Art of Attraction is sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, the Chairman John Carvelli, Executive Officer Andy Foster, also sanctioned by the World Boxing Association, WBA President Gilberto Mendoza Jr., WBA Supervisor in attendance, Kina Malpartida. The 3 judges scoring this contest at ringside are Zachary Young, Max DeLuca, and Carla Caiz. And the third man inside the ring at the sound of the bell, our championship referee, Ray Corona. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the sold-out hangar here in the OC, 2 diamonds, 1 ring tonight who will shine the brightest. Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, it's golden time! Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner tonight, wearing the colors of Venezuela. He officially weighed in at 138.6 pounds. This challenger in 26 professional contests, his record is outstanding. 21 victories, including 20 wins by way of knockout, 3 defeats and 2 draws. Here's the former interim WBA lightweight champion, fighting out of Miami, Florida, by way of El Tigre Venezuela, Ismael El Tigre Barroso. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner tonight, wearing the camouflage trunks red and gray, officially weighed in at 140 pounds. In 19 professional contests, this Canadian warrior holds an impressive record. 18 victories, including 9 wins by way of knockout and only 1 defeat. Tonight, set to make his first title defense, he is the reigning and defending WBA Gold Super Lightweight Champion from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Please welcome Ullysee Jr. And our referee to give the final instructions, Ray Corona.
Let's go, fighters, 2 seconds. Yeah. This is good right here. Aquí está bien. Want to touch gloves? Do it now. God bless.
Final instructions, 1 man is 36, 1 man is 31, and we are all set for our main event of the evening here at the hangar in the OC. Beto, Dougie Fresh, and the coach. Here we go. Ullysee Jr. on one side, Barroso on the other. Let's go.
You ready? Listo.
The wonderful Ray Corona in there as the referee, so we know that it will be handled correctly. So here we go. The first of a scheduled 12 rounds of boxing here in our main event.
I see a probing jab from the Venezuelan. He was taught well. He's got good fundamentals. He's always looking to land that straight left.
You know, you can just watch Ullysee Jr. when he warms up in the ring, the way he moves, so athletic, charismatic, quick.
And there's a fluidity to his movements. He's got great hand-eye and foot-eye coordination, and I think his footwork is probably his key tonight. He needs to use that lateral movement, stay away from that straight left, and to control the distance.
You know, unlike Ballard in our last fight, who truly believed that he had done enough, they've got 2 more rounds to play with in this fight. They can go a little bit slower, although that can be a dangerous tactic, as we just saw.
That's a very good point. And you see what I was talking about during our stand-up setup to this main event, and that Ullysee has a unique style. He's got his own kind of rhythm, and the way he moves about the ring and holds his hands. Sometimes he'll set up a power shot either from the left or right side of his body. And in my mind, the way I will remember it is though he set it up as a southpaw. It's strange the way he sets up his power. Kind of reminds me of like Zab Judah at his best, or some other athletic southpaws that we've seen over the years and the decades. But he's an orthodox fighter. It's just that his style is slightly unorthodox.
It's hard for me to get out of my head when we saw his interview and him talking about the fact the reason he wanted to get into boxing and prize fighting was Floyd Mayweather Jr. If you just look at him, the way he looks, the way he moves, the way his body is put together, it's very much like Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Yeah. And he's 31 years old, but he's very well preserved. He hasn't had a lot of tough fights, although he's gone quality rounds. And so you don't want to look at him as a 31-year-old. I mean, he's like in his prime right now. I think as an athlete and as a boxer, I think he's close to his peak. He's not quite there, but he's close to peaking as a boxer and athlete. You can think of him like a 26 or 27-year-old.
Inside 20 seconds to go here in round number 1 as both men have really felt each other out. Neither one doing very much. All right, we're going to keep it right here in between rounds. Beto, what do you got?
Gentlemen, as always, just running around here, the OC Fair. It's a cool setup, as you've been talking about, Coach. And Ullysee Jr., talking with him, he said in the interview before the fight that he's just here enjoying the moment. Well, the thing with him, though, is that he said he has to get through Barroso, who he expects to. Because Ullysee, they have plans for him for 2020. Bigger ones. But he also knows that he has to come out and impress. Barroso's a fighter who's going to stand there and willing to train with him, but he has to do something and not start slow. It's the main event. Okay, why not put on the show?
It's always a dangerous thing to look ahead or to schedule ahead, but you have to do it, Doug, if you want to get the fights that you think you're capable of getting. But then you still have to get a fight in, like tonight, when you got to get a fight in. So it's a double-edged sword, but something that you have to do.
Absolutely. And if you look at the landscape of boxing, unfortunately, the business of boxing gets involved in the sport. It can be very fractured. Fights at the top of any division can be hard to make, so you can't just rely on one minor title. He holds the WBA's gold belt, which basically means he's their top-rated contender. You know, fighters like belts. They're willing to pay for them, so they're gonna make a lot of them.
4 different levels.
That's right. They got a super champion and then a secondary champion, and I don't know who he's mandatory to, if either of those guys, but he's at the top of their rankings. But he's also ranked in the top 10 of the IBF and the WBC. And if he wants to keep his options available to fight other champions, and all 4 major belts are split between 2 fighters right now, Jose Ramirez and the Ring Magazine champion Josh Taylor from Scotland, then he wants to move up in those other sanctioning organizations as well. So he wants to move up in the IBF or the WBO or the WBC. And you do that by staying active and winning fights.
The one thing I would love to see is all these major promoters, and we all know the names. And the one thing I love about being around Oscar is that he will say repeatedly, I will make any fight with anybody. And does not let the fact that they don't promote the fighter hinder putting the right fight together. And I wish every promoter would approach their job that way.
Yeah, if you look at who Canelo has fought, especially just recently, you know, with against Gennady Golovkin, Golovkin's now aligned with Eddie Hearn, still affiliated with Tom Loeffler and has his own promotional company, Triple G Promotions. Danny Jacobs is with Eddie Hearn, advised by Al Heyman. Sergey Kovalev is managed by Egis Klimas and promoted by Main Events. So Golden Boy, even with their top dog, their top draw, they will do co-promotions to make the right fights happen.
It's the right thing to do. It absolutely is the right thing to do. And Barroso, in the meantime, getting a couple of shots in on Ullysee Jr. And so far through 1+ round, almost 2 rounds, Ullysee Jr. has really not thrown any significant punches of note.
Well, he hasn't landed any of note yet. he's still trying to find, pick his place and find his shots. And he has yet to find them. And he has some time to work with. As you noted, it's a 12-round bout. And against the Venezuelan, who's kind of, a little bit plodding, a little bit methodical, a bit of a slow starter himself, he's able to kind of figure things out without being under much duress.
Well, you described this fight perfectly. Barroso certainly has punch power. And Ullysee Jr. is a much more active, quick, move around the ring style of fighter.
Yeah, he's definitely the athlete.
The left hand, potentially a little bit after the bell. No big deal. Some action from that second round.
So there was a nice right hand landed by Ullysee. He's blocking body punches from the Venezuelan as he backs up and circles Barroso.
Vamos a meterle ritmo, no aguanta, él está inventando.
We hear from both corners as they advise their fighters after they got to see the first 6 minutes of this fight. What adjustments, if any, would you make for Junior?
Junior, I'd like to see him take some more chances. I'd like to see him get his jab off. He's got a really good jab when he uses it. Right now, it's just Barroso who's working the jab. And on Barroso's side, I'd like to see him step forward with a little more of a sense of urgency, a little more aggression. I want to see him. He's not a pressure fighter by definition, but I want to see him apply some pressure because I know he knows how to with his experience.
There you see the total punches numbers at the bottom of your screen. However you might be watching us, syndicated on television around the country or live streaming on the great sports app of DAZN.
And not much separating these two in the first 6 minutes. They're not throwing a lot. They're not landing a lot. But Ullysee is landing at a higher punch connect limit.
Do you think nerves are playing a little bit of an issue?
I think it's natural for a fighter to be a little bit tight when he's in with a puncher. And I think it's only natural for there to be a little bit of an adjustment period when you're fighting your first southpaw as your professional.
Barroso, good combination there.
You see Ullysee is really good at blocking punches, covering up, catching shots on his gloves and his forearm.
And that's where the judges clearly are the experts. Good right hand by Junior. Because when I watch it from my kind of untrained eye, it looks like Barroso is landing a lot more punches than he is.
Yeah, that's true. And it should be noted that Ullysee he's very crafty. He's very sneaky. He might put himself in a position to be punched, secure in the knowledge that he can catch these shots, block or parry them, and then counter. He's been able to do the first part of that, but he hasn't been able to counter efficiently. Just grazed Barroso with that right uppercut.
Oh, good left hand stopping Ullysee Jr. from coming forward. Now Barroso is backing that up with a couple more good left hands.
Yeah, and I bet you Ullysee is saying, oh, you know what? I can feel it. Those weren't flush power shots, and I'm sure he's glad for it.
He almost gave like a little smirk right there, like, okay, I took your two best, now let's go.
Ooh, nice straight right down the pike, made by Ullysee. And I think the Canadian needs more of those if he's going to win this third round.
Well, you see the smile. It's almost as if he knows, he's figured it out, and now it's time to get his fight going. That's what that look says to me.
careful in those exchanges.
Barroso just has so much power.
Yeah, and you can tell with his punches, and he doesn't have to load up with them.
All right, round 3 in the books. Good action. What did you see as we look back at some of the action from round 3?
I thought it was a really good round for Barroso, just with his activity. He didn't land clean punches, but he landed a lot more than Ullysee did. Ullysee was good in spots. Ullysee is the more accurate of the two. Nice body shot landed by Barroso. He's good with the right hands to the body. He's devastating with the left hands to the head.
Well, there's in the corner of Ullysee Jr. and trying to bring his body temperature down just a little bit and keeping him calm and cool. They do have the big doors here that are open. It's not an issue because it's such a nice night here in the OC. There you see the door that I'm talking about, that it's certainly not affecting the fighters inside of the hangar here.
No, it's keeping them from overheating, and it's giving them fresh air to breathe.
It is a perfect Orange County evening. And before I moved here, and I was at ESPN for 10 years, Bristol, Connecticut, foot of snow right now, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
I don't miss it. Not for 1 second.
Nobody ever does. Even if they miss their hometown, nobody misses the winters. Nobody misses the snow or scraping their car off of ice.
I get asked all the time, would you go back? Go back where?
We're spoiled.
No chance. All right, round number 4, 30 seconds in. Barroso, Ullysee Jr., our main event here on our final Thursday night fights here in 2019 as we approach the top of the hour. Let's send it down to Beto.
Yeah, speaking of the corner of the Venezuela fighter, like, we saw him on a Thompson show a couple years ago, so we know he's that tough veteran that's going to be there. He trains in Miami, and he goes back to Venezuela. Well, this corner was telling him, go to the body, go to the body, go to the body. They said that they like what he's doing so far, but they feel like they're starting to take advantage of their experience. Their experience-wise, but it's go to the body. They want that effort from him.
What do you think about that, Doug?
I think that's really smart because I think one of the edges that Ullysee has in this fight is his legs and his lateral movement. So you want to slow a guy down so he can be stationary so you can land that vaunted power, go to the body, take the wind out of the sails.
Well, here you see the numbers, and they're staggering in favor of Barroso here through the first 3.5 rounds.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. Barroso is an offense-minded fighter, so he's not going to be moving his feet. He's going to be moving his gloves.
I think it's a really good matchup of styles.
I agree. They mesh well. Sometimes styles don't make fights. The fight doesn't happen, or there's clashes of heads, and they get tangled up, and there's grappling and that. But other times, contrasting styles can make for a very interesting boxing match. And sometimes that boxing match, if we're lucky, turns into a war.
Well, we still have 8 more rounds after this, potentially, to have it turn into the war that you speak of.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for something dramatic to happen. And that's the beauty of a puncher, is that there could be a whole lot of nothing happen, and then all of a sudden, one big punch, like we see with Deontay Wilder, boom, the fight can end or the fight can turn.
I think that's kind of what people are looking forward to this weekend, right here live on DAZN. Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz Jr. Good counter there by Ullysee Jr. And then he caught Barroso with the left hand.
Barroso is still outworking Ullysee, but it's Ullysee who's landing clean, eye-catching punches. It'll be interesting to see how the judges score these rounds.
And you can start to see the swagger and the confidence come out of the pores of that man right there. 4 rounds in the books. We're back.
Picante, bold on the outside, light on the inside.
We're back. That is the corner of Ullysee Jr. getting his final instructions as he comes out for the 5th round. And if you just look at faces, the face of Junior tells me that he is very, very confident and comfortable with where this fight is right now.
I can't tell anything by Barroso's face, though. That's a weathered catcher's mitt poker face.
Your scorecard looks like this.
38-38. First 2 rounds for Ullysee, last 2 rounds for Barroso.
Now here in these first 30 seconds, Junior looking like he is trying to pick up the pace just a little bit. Good right hand, straight.
I think Ullysee needs to do that because it's not so much that Barroso won those last 2 rounds, rounds 3 and 4, is that Ullysee didn't do enough to take it. Because he landed well, he just didn't do it enough. Barroso didn't land a lot of clean punches, but he did land punches and a lot more.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about, that a lot of camps don't emphasize, a lot of trainers don't talk to their fighters about, and how you perform is important. And we can't emphasize and hammer that point home enough that at this level, to get noticed, to get on the undercards of big DAZN cards or whatever the cards are, you've got to look good. You can't just have a ho-hum victory.
It's true. A lot of times, certain weight classes. Junior welterweight isn't one of the glamour divisions, but it's right underneath it. It's literally right under welterweight. So a lot of 140 pound standouts sometimes go to 147, as Floyd Mayweather did, as Manny Pacquiao did, as some of the other fighters have done, and really made their name and made their fortune at welterweight. But, you know, at the top of the 140 pound division right now, you got guys who are fractions like Jose Ramirez, or stars in their country, like Josh Taylor is in Scotland. And after that big win over Regis Prograis, you know, he's pretty much a name in boxing in all of the UK now. I look forward to seeing him fight here in the U.S. And Regis Prograis, he's still in it. You know, that was one loss that he had against Josh Taylor, and it was very close. And he's got a great personality and a very exciting style. So he's got a lot of eyes on him as well. And these guys that are well known and have established themselves in the boxing industry, they can pick anybody, you know, and they're not going to pick somebody that doesn't stand out.
That's right. They know that whoever stands across them has to be not only worthy, but also put on a good fight. And right now in the second half of this 5th round, I think Barroso's done a lot of really good work catching Junior with several shots. I think enough to win the round, but of course you are the one keeping the score.
I agree with you, Coach. He's not flashy, but he's effective in there. He's just getting the job done.
All right, so Barroso so far, no doubt, saying, you know what, heck, with being the B side of this card, I want to be the A side of this card. And thus far, he is giving Ullysee Jr. everything he can handle and then some.
Cada vez que le trabajas el pecho bajo, le vas a dar en la cabeza. ¿Ok? Vamos a poner fuerte. Respira. Fuerte. Respira.
When you look at that face, the question comes to your mind, how many rounds has he fought?
He's fought a lot of rounds. I'm looking at the scars on the, right by the left cheekbone, and I'm like, that didn't happen in the ring, man. That looks like a bottle.
There is
that
no
was a street
doubt.
fight.
There have been a few high-profile people over the years in this industry that have had significant scars or scarring, and those are people that I don't want to mess with. Round number 6, there is Dougie's scorecard.
It's a one-point fight, anybody's fight.
Gave round 5 to Barroso.
He's putting in the work, and he's doing so right now at the start of round 6.
No doubt, the start of round 6, more of the same from round 5, and Ullysee Jr. is just covering up.
Right. Now, early on, I think the blocking was strategy from Ullysee because he was wanting to block and counter. But now Barroso's throwing so many shots, particularly to the body. He's keeping, he's forcing Ullysee to keep those elbows tucked in and those gloves protecting his face. And he's basically putting Ullysee into a defensive shell.
And by doing this, he can give little to no offense. And he continues to take shots in this style, and we've already mentioned it, very much like how Mayweather Jr. fights or fought. He does say he's coming back in 2020. Who knows if he's telling the truth?
Never know before.
But if there is a $50 million fight out there, or $100 million fight, I'm sure that we can get him out of retirement.
Yeah, at least. That's his minimum, $50 million. But, you know, with Floyd, he had that shoulder roll where he would lean back and make his opponents overextend themselves when they would miss, and he would always counter. And one thing Floyd did exceptionally well, I mean, incredible, was his jab. It was a textbook perfect jab, and it was consistent, and that is something that is missing from Ulyssee's arsenal.
Beto, you got something for us?
Not enough punching, not enough boxing from the corner of Ullysee Jr. They want him to box more and control more. They don't feel like he's throwing enough punches.
Beto, he's not throwing enough punches, so his corner is absolutely 100% correct.
I like that. I like when the corner is seated in reality, when they're not just cheerleading for their fighter and they're seeing what everybody else is saying.
Well, right now, the first half of this fight, which we've almost arrived at, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, with all of the spotlight being on Ullysee Jr., with all the hype, with being the titleist. He is not fighting like a fighter that I think is hungry enough for this particular night, in this particular situation.
I'd say one way you could put it is he's been handcuffed by the Venezuelans' activity. That wasn't as good.
The Junior caught Barroso, but it was just a one shot. Barroso came right back with 2 or 3 more shots on the back end of that. So another good round for Barroso, but one good shot for Ullysee Jr.
See, there's a right to the hip and then a right to the cheekbone. That was a beautiful body-head combination landed by the Canadian standout. Right to the hip, right cross to the jaw. Was that enough to steal the round?
Not on my very unofficial scorecard.
But did you notice there, Dougie, he didn't follow up with anything. He didn't go after him with anything. And I think that was a mistake. So now we're halfway home. We're 6 rounds in. What does that man right there need to do to win this fight in the next 6 rounds?
I think he has to regain the feeling in his left hand. It's all about blocking and landing rights for him. Hey, dude, you got a left hand too. Work your jab. Where's your left hook? Let's put punches together.
It has been non-existent. Combos, left hand, none of that has happened yet. Here we go, round number 7. Ullysee Jr. in the multicolored trunks, Barroso in the yellow, blue, and red trunks. Good right hand from Jr.
Yep. Barroso's trunks are the colors of the Venezuelan national flag. And a lot of good trainers down there. They're unsung. People don't know about them here in North America, but if you're good enough to get out of Venezuela, you know how to fight and you know how to box.
Good straight right hand there from Ullysee Jr.
You see, I have it a 2-point fight in Barroso's favor, so it's still a winnable fight for Ullysee. He can still defend that WBA gold 140-pound title, but he's got to get to work, got to make something happen now.
I just don't understand the game plan to block, and then throw. But clearly from his body language, from his facials, he feels like he is not only controlling the fight, but he's starting to show off a little bit too.
I think that's okay, but you got to land punches. It can't just be the straight right, which you just landed, but he hasn't hurt Barroso yet. You got to get your opponent's respect. This is not amateur boxing. It's just not about landing punches and racking up points. You got to do some damage. You got to impose your style and your will on your opponent.
You almost wonder if there's something wrong with his left hand. I know he's thrown it a few times, but just not enough to think that it's a serious weapon for him.
That's an interesting question. I would wonder if the corner is aware of that, if they would be willing to divulge that to Beto Duran, or if he would admit that. Maybe after the fight he'll get to that. But I mean, this is something that I've noted from him in the past, is that he doesn't have a consistent jab, which is baffling, because when he does use that left stick, it's pretty good.
Well, right now it certainly appears that Barroso has figured out the game that is Ullysee Jr. He's had no issues staying in the pocket. It's going to be up to Jr. over the course of the next 5 rounds to figure his opponent out.
Speaking of opponents, Steve Claggett, that was the rival, the Canadian rival of Ullysee. He's the only guy to beat him in the pro ranks. Claggett is a come-forward volume puncher, and he's tough. He could take Ulyssee's best punch and just keep pressing him and keep throwing hands, and that's why he won their first matchup. Unfortunately, it was very close. And although Ullysee won the rematch in April of this year, it was very close. I think I had it a 1 or 2.5.
All right, round number 7. We're going to keep it right here. Another good round, volume-wise, by Barroso. It's really going to be how it comes down to the judges and how they decide to score this fight. But Barroso clearly the more active fighter through the first 7 rounds, Dougie.
Yeah, in my view, although you do have judges, you have boxing people and boxing fans that like boxers, and they will give a fighter the edge after a round if that fighter's up on his toes and moving around and he hasn't been hurt. So that's always a possibility. But I've noticed that California judges like effective punching. They like aggression.
So now we are getting down to crunch time for that man, the champion. And not sure if he knows it, understands it, feels it. But he's got some work to do.
Yeah, I hope he does, because he's got too much talent to waste it by allowing himself to be outworked, just merely outworked by a guy. And Barroso is not just a simple volume puncher or come-forward fighter. There's a lot of experience there. He knows how to box. He's got good fundamentals. He's got good punching technique. Doesn't do anything wrong, at least egregiously so. But Ullysee, in my estimation, not just to win this fight and retain that belt of his, but just to kind of uphold his reputation, I think he needs to win the rest of the rounds. I think he needs to win round 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, I think he needs to make a statement and say, no, I'm better than a 36-year-old veteran who has had his shot.
That is not a storyline that he wants to carry around with him after tonight and answer those questions. And I think you are spot on. But through the first minute of this round, more of the same. Oh, wow. And so Junior just took a shot to the midsection of Barroso as Barroso was kind of backing up.
It was an accident. It was an accident. You guys got tangled up, okay? Just listen, all right?
You can hear Ray Corona. Look at that one more time.
They got tied up, so the referee's coming in to break them, and then he landed that left to the midsection.
All right, maybe that will flip a switch. The youngster from Canada.
Right, if you can land a legal body shot, maybe you can land a legal body shot.
With your left hand, right?
Yeah, right, it was the left.
Inside 90 seconds here in this 8th round. Barroso on Dougie, your scorecard. You have him up by 3 points.
Yes, I do, 68 to 65.
And I've yet to see you be very far off on any of the fights that you and I have done together. So if the judges are even similar to what you have, Ullysee Jr. is in trouble right now.
He has a sense of urgency tonight. I really do. I think he needs to hurt the Venezuelan.
So he continues to come out, he's smiling, he's laughing, and then he's just covering up, taking the punishment on the arms, on the gloves.
Barroso's got solid whiskers, and Ullysee has better punch. Yeah, that's a nice right hand. Ullysee has better punch power than his KO ratio would indicate. And if you hit Barroso in the right spot, you catch him clean on the jaw, you can hurt him. And he can be hurt to the body. That's how Anthony Corolla broke him down, because Barroso was looking really good in the early rounds of that fight a few years ago. And Corolla just stayed on top of the Venezuelan and softened him up to the body and eventually stopped the fight in the 7th round on a body shot.
Well, the only body shot that we have seen of any effective nature was as they were being separated, and it didn't count. So now 8 rounds in the books. Let's send it down to Beto.
Yeah, you guys were talking about Ulysses' left hand. I went over there and asked if he hurt. They said no. They said that he's telling him he's having trouble being able to throw that jab because the southpaw. He's unable to figure that out. What they did tell him is, well, you can't do that. Use your hook, which he's been doing more of. But one of the things that they don't want him to trade with Barroso. More boxing, more movement. They don't want him in the pocket going with the veteran.
All right, good job, Beto. We appreciate that. Let's go back to that last round. What did you see, Doug?
I saw a beautiful straight right landed by Ullysee, but that was it. He missed the follow-up left hook. Beautiful shot right down the pike, but not enough of that.
Well, we talked about the difference between ring generals and guys that can knock out, and even his corner gives him advice that does not include, on any way, shape, or form, telling their fighter to knock him out.
Yeah, it's a dilemma, because they want more from him. They want him to use that left, and he admits that he's having trouble with the southpaw. They knew that would be a factor in tonight's matchup. But they don't want him to stand and trade with the Venezuelan, but I think he needs to do that to get some respect and to get the attention of the judges.
Round number 9, we are live at the hangar, the world-famous hangar, here in Orange County, California, just a couple of miles from the Pacific Ocean on an absolutely glorious night. About 75 degrees still outside. We have the doors open, and it is a beautiful sold-out night for boxing here in the OC. Here is Dougie's scorecard, and yet again, 4 rounds in a row, or 6 rounds in a row for Barroso.
So it's getting critical for Ullysee, if it isn't already.
We've done so many fights together, you and I, that it's almost amazing to me when you talk to a fighter and they believe they've just won the fight or came close. And we look at it completely differently. I'm getting the feeling that Ullysee Jr. feels like he is winning this fight comfortably.
Right.
That's the way he's fighting.
Yeah, maybe he feels that way because he's like, yeah, this guy's busy throwing a lot of punches, not blocking most of them. But the problem is you don't get points just for blocking shots. You have to land your own shots. And he's done so here and there, and he's feeling good about it, like, boom, okay, that was a good right hand that I landed. But guess what? You're not going to win a round with one right hand unless that right hand either wobbles or drops the opponent.
Puts him down, no doubt. And so far, he has not been able to really affect Barroso at all. Even the straight rights that he's connected with is not pushing Barroso back at all.
And he's increased his output more in recent rounds, but he's still being outworked. There's just too many of these long lapses of no offense from Ullysee.
It just makes no sense.
There's the hook. Not bad. We need more of that. We need the hook followed by the right cross. We need the hook to the body, to the head.
If he's covering up, do you think that the game plan is trying to get to Barroso to punch himself tired?
Maybe they were thinking that Barroso is going to run out of gas, but Barroso, he's a seasoned professional. This is a guy who's fought 12 rounds before. This is a guy who's fought for the world titles. And he knows, I mean, he's lost some fights. He's been hit and miss. He's lost some fights, and he's 36 years old, so he knows this could be his last chance.
Well, he has certainly come out here tonight, and he has impressed me to no end. And you preach to me all the time about making adjustments making the in-game, the in-fight adjustments, but I'm looking at a fighter, a champion, who has yet to change, Dougie, his mindset from pre-fight to round number 10. What does that say when a fighter and also his corner doesn't see what's really happening?
I think the corner knows, and I hope I hear that in their instructions to Ullysee, but Ullysee sometimes confidence can bleed into arrogance. And maybe he's just feeling he's got this sense of entitlement, like, well, I'm the champion, I've got this belt, I'm the guy whose career is on the upswing, you're just some old guy who's had his day. And maybe he's thinking that this old Venezuelan is going to fade, but as I said, the Venezuelan entered this fight knowing it could be his last chance, so you know he trained. You know he's up for this. I mean, it's do or die tonight for Barroso, and he's letting his hands go like it. Like he understands that. He realizes that.
And if this year taught us anything, and we're seeing the rematch on Saturday right here live on DAZN, that if you don't come prepared, you could be the brunt of a huge upset.
That's true. Never was it more dramatic than June 1st of this year at Madison Square Garden. What an experience that was to be there in the building, in that the mecca of boxing, and to witness a heavyweight world title upset that people could actually compare with, Lennox Lewis getting knocked out by Usain Rahman in South Africa, or Vladimir Klitschko being knocked out by Layman Brewster, or even, Mike Tyson losing his aura of invincibility against Buster Douglas.
I mean, it was one of those nights in June where you remember where you were.
Yes.
And I was doing a PGA Tour event. I was in Florida, and I watched it in my hotel room, and I couldn't go to sleep. I was so damn excited.
That's the beauty of an upset. High-profile upset in the glamour division of boxing.
And I have no skin in the game. And I don't care what happens on Saturday, I really don't. But I want to see some fireworks.
Yes. Well, the way Andy fights and his mindset, I think it kind of guarantees it. I mean, if he's going to win, he's not going to peck and poke his way to a decision.
He is going to come forward, and
his nickname is the Destroyer. So.
Joshua, I'm anxious to see how he comes in the second time full camp. His attention has been on the new world champion, Andy Ruiz, and see what he has, because his back is against the wall for his career as well.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're a huge Joshua fan, supporter, and you believe in him, you're going to be nervous on Saturday.
Very,
you're just going to be nervous. And who knows? Joshua might be really nervous when he steps into that ring, and maybe he can make that work for him.
It's no secret that the reason they're doing it in Saudi Arabia, big payday. Certainly it's going to be an incredible venue if you've seen it on all over social media. And now the referee saying no knockdown. But that venue in Saudi Arabia looks great. The presentation is going to be flawless. And it's just going to be one of those really good nights of heavyweight boxing. Oh, and a big left hand is Ullysee Jr. now trying to bring the hook that Beto told us he's going to try to incorporate over the course of the last few rounds. And he does catch Barroso with the left hand.
Yes, he does. And he landed a right hand before that left hand. He's missing with some of these big shots, but he's trying to set up the Venezuelan veteran with him. And he's really swinging like he wants to score a home run.
And he is doing his best to push Barroso off of him, get at distance. But Barroso, as he's done for 10 rounds now, always has a response. He always has something to come back at Ullysee Jr. with, and that has allowed Ullysee Jr. to really get nothing going of any consequence.
Jab landed by Ullysee. Big right hand, snaps the head back of Barroso. I scored that round for Ullysee. First one in a long time. First one since the second round. But he got enough done in that round. And he did it by landing big punches. That's how you get it done in professional boxing.
I always find myself playing the what-if game or the why game, or you see the changes now that we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes, but he's not making the changes until the final 3 rounds of the fight.
Good work, boys. Good work.
And sometimes as a play-by-play guy, I question the game plans. That's my job, it's what I'm supposed to do. But I'm watching a fight that I'm very, very confused by the game plan coming in by the champ.
Could be as simple as Ullysee got more than he bargained for. That could be the case. Yep, could be the case.
His biggest punch doesn't move Barroso. So even when he snapped his head back, the body's not going back.
That's true. Barroso isn't hurt. Not showing it.
Oh, he's countering every time he takes a shot.
Barroso is showing excellent stamina, which means he did what he was supposed to do in his fight camp, so his conditioning is there. You would expect that from a seasoned pro. But he's showing me more boxing ability than I've seen from him in previous fights. And I've seen a lot of his fights. Showing some head movement, upper body movement, showing the counter punching, and of course the fundamentals. The solid balance and the busy jab that sets up the punches and the balance of power shots, body and head.
Beto, you got something for us?
And they're telling the Venezuelan, you're probably losing on the cards. They don't feel like they are, but they told him, expect to be losing. You need to win these next 2 rounds. You need to be the aggressor of it if you even think you can have a chance, because you're the opponent.
Well, and you're the B side, let's be honest. And when you're the B side of a fight, there is sometimes the perception that you've got to do more than the A side. It shouldn't be that way, but it is a lot of the time. Good exchange between Jr. and Barroso. This 11th round has been more of the same. It almost feels like we're watching every round on repeat.
That's true. I expected more from Ullysee. He's just giving up ground too much, too willingly, and not letting his hands go enough.
That time he took a straight right hand, got through that fence, and he continues to smile, he continues to laugh at Barroso. Almost as if he's thinking that he's scoring all these points with the deflections of the punches.
Or thinking he's doing something because Barroso elects to back up.
Barroso again coming in with a good three-punch combo.
If he backs up for a moment, he always comes back. Lets his hands go in combination.
Quite sure. Ryan Jr. continues to laugh. Maybe says, hey, we're in a fight. Let's go. All right, so 11th round in the books, and here was that three-punch combo by Barroso.
Yes, that's a 1-2-1. A jab, straight left, jab. There's the jab, the double jab, straight left, and he follows back with the right jab.
He did a great job that time getting through the defense. I think we're going to see a fighter that is going to be so surprised when he loses, because I'm watching a fighter that's not fighting like someone who believes he has anything left to do in this fight, but get through one more round and win a decision.
Yeah, there's something tragic about that.
Yes.
Just like, why do you think that you're up on the scorecards? And if he is up on the scorecards, I'm telling you, he shouldn't be.
All right, here we go. The fighters touch gloves, and here we go, the 12th and final round, live from the hangar here in the OC. Can Barroso pull off the upset tonight in our main event? And you would hope that Ullysee Jr. brings everything he has and the kitchen sink.
Excuse me, with that jab.
This is going to be a tape that Ullysee Jr. watches back. And I think even he will have to tell himself, we've got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, look at the total punches thrown in the 800s for Barroso.
It's crazy how much more work he has done.
Yeah, in the 300s for Ullysee. Now, Barroso isn't landing a lot, but he's landing enough.
And he is not leaving any room for Ullysee Jr to try to counter any of those punches. And I'm incredibly impressed that his punch count is where it is and that he is punching as fast right now, Doug, as he was in the first round.
Yeah, his conditioning was very good for this fight.
Good straight right hand there from Junior.
And you want to see Junior jump on that opportunity.
There has been absolutely, through 12 rounds, zero follow-up from any shot that Ullysee Jr lands. And again, he's taking more shots from Barroso.
Yeah, and often with Ulyssee's opponents of the past, he would land a big shot like that and it would hurt them or freeze them or scare them or confuse them. If he set it up right, you could see where the punch was coming from. And so if they were on the attack, he would get a reprieve. And he's had no reprieves tonight from Barroso. Barroso will take that big shot and maybe take a step back. Often doesn't take a step back, and he's right back to his offense. And that has handcuffed Ullysee, offensively speaking. And the footwork that I talked about coming into this main event, he's just using it to avoid the fight. He's not using it to control the fight and set up his offense.
I would say that Barroso has been almost borderline suffocating for Ullysee Jr. And I don't know if he's been able to figure out how to counter that, because it's been non-stop red gloves flying at his face. And now with 20 seconds to go, the hands are getting loose a little bit, but not even close to enough. And plenty of smiles from Ullysee Jr. and Barroso. But I think Jr. is going to be in for a rude awakening when the official decision comes back in a couple of minutes. Got to give that man credit. Barroso came ready, in shape, had a game plan, and it worked, in our humble opinion, from start to finish. We're going to take a quick finish. This is going to be an interesting one. Our official announcement, the winner of our main event, when we come back on Thursday Night Fights.
The Ring Report.
Can't wait for the Ring Report to come out, coming up immediately following us here in the OC. What a great shot there from the hangar. Our main event has gone the distance, 12 rounds, and the fighters, well, they are ready for the decision, and we are too. Let's send it up to the ring, and Jeremiah Gallegos.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of championship boxing, let's give both of our fighters a big round of applause. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go to the judges' scorecard. Here are the totals. Judge Zachary Young sees the bout 117-111. Judges Max DeLuca and Carla Caiz have the bout 115-113. And ladies and gentlemen, for your winner and new WBA Gold Super Lightweight Champion, the Fighting Pride of Venezuela. Please welcome the one, the only, Ismael El Tigre Barroso.
So you can see how excited Barroso is to claim that title, but more so than that, the reaction from that man. He cannot believe it. But guess what, Dougie Fresh? He's the only one that can't believe it, because we all thought this was going to happen.
Yeah, I can't even disagree with that lopsided scorecard from Zachary Young, which was basically 9 rounds to 3, 117-111 for Barroso. I had it 8 rounds to 4 for Barroso. The only rounds I scored for Ullysee was rounds 1, 2, 10, and 12, and I was being generous, giving him the 10th.